You're only going to use more Groningen gas if the safety issues stemming from the fact that you don't use Groningen gas now are so big that you're more or less forced. So, for example, if you cannot heat your hospitals anymore, or your schools, or you cannot produce diesel oil where you need a lot of gas, then, of course, it's always open to discuss Groningen. But that's what we meant by last resort. This could also be, by the way, in our neighboring countries. So, as you probably know, Germany also uses Groningen gas, Belgium uses Groningen gas. And I mean, in a sort of an emergency there, we could also use Groningen. Keep in mind that all the pipelines which go from the Netherlands to Germany are basically totally filled with gas already now. So there's not a lot we can do now. But this is the kind of emergency you should think about.
As you heard there, Hans Vijlbrief not ruling out a ramp up in production of gas extraction in the fields, but what would it take to change course? One, an absolute emergency here in the Netherlands, and an emergency would mean something like not enough heat to keep the hospitals running, or number two, an emergency in a neighboring country, because there are key pipelines connecting the Netherlands to neighboring countries, including Germany. So not ruling it out, but at the moment the government is sticking to its guns. I asked him if pressure is ramping up from neighboring countries or from the domestic population, given the challenges they're facing on the energy front. He said back in the spring, the ministry was questioning this decision, but ultimately when they heard all of the research and all of the findings around the earthquakes and the damage it caused, they supported the decision in place from 2018. But of course, that could change in the coming months. Now, in the meantime, given the planned shutdown of production at the fields, right now it's running at the lowest possible capacity to remain operational, which means keeping it as a last resort. Netherlands has been ramping up its LNG import capacity, much like we saw in Greece last week. So right now, it feels as though the Netherlands is in a pretty decent place for this winter, but what about next? Take a listen to what Hans Vijlbrief had to say.
I'm a little bit less secure about that than this winter. This winter will be okay, even with low temperatures. Next winter, of course, we cannot use any more Russian gas to fill up these storages. So this means that, again, we're going to look into, for example, increasing our LNG capacity even more than we did right now. And now we're going to start a little bit earlier thinking about this, because last year, of course, because of this war, we only found this out in the spring. So we had to buy massively gas, which, of course, had consequences for the price we had to pay.